Welcome back, you guys. I'm Tassie, and this is going to be one of my ghostly update vlogs. I do apologize for my makeup, but it looks a little crazy, especially if you're watching this like in the daytime. But I recently, from my other channel, my mukbang channel, I went a little crazy and bought a ton of makeup. So right now I'm trying to justify why I bought all this makeup, because normally I don't ever do my eye makeup, but now I'm starting to because I need to justify it for myself. So anyways, every now and then you may see me have some intense eye makeup on, okay? All right, back to the point of this vlog. So this is going to be my Halloween special where I'm going to talk about a time when a demon came out of my dream. Now, brief overview before I get into this. I've mentioned in other videos, a lot of times when I was younger, I would have these dreams. Well, okay, I was always awake. Clearly, I was awake. I remember all the incidences that lead up to it. I'm awake. And then something comes out, like a demon, like right in front of me, and then I scream and I black out. And then I end up waking up, and I'm like, and then you're like, you're a kid, and you're trying to figure out, like, did that really happen? And you're chalking it up as maybe you had fallen asleep and it was just a dream. But I have a lot of those incidences. These I always have somebody like knocking on the door, and then they would open the door themselves and they come and grab me. A lot of times it'll either be a demon or else they'll dress up. It looks like they're an astronaut or something, but they're like in a full white outfit, gear and everything like that, and they just come into the living room or into the kitchen. So, and then they always come and grab me. So, I had a lot of those incidences too where I didn't really understand when I was awake or what. I know I was awake, but the only logical explanation was that I had to have fallen asleep, and yet somehow my family, they'll find me knocked out on the kitchen floor. Like, who just decides I'm gonna take a nap on the kitchen floor? Like, so anyways, moving on. Now, what happened with the demon that came out of my dream? So now I was already an established shaman. I was already on my third level. And in my dreams, being a shaman when you are one, there are a lot of times where you'll have like premonition dreams. They're coming to tell you something, they're teaching you things. But then there's also a lot of dreams where you just have some type of evil, demonic entity that's trying to hurt you all the time. Like, all of the time. So, I didn't really think anything of it when it happened, but this was the only one, though, where it actually came out of my dream. So what happened was, when I fell asleep, it was like a three-parter dream. So like my first dream that I had, I saw a man. And I remember I ended up killing him. So I had to do like all this like shaman ritual stuff in my dream to actually kill him. And then I didn't think anything of it. And then I actually went on in my dream, and then I woke up. But I woke up in my dream. So now this is part of the second part of the dream, because there was three parts. So after I killed this man, I ended up, waking up, and I realized it was just a dream, and it was really terrifying, but because it felt really real. And then, like everything around me seems normal, and then all of a sudden I see this woman, and the woman, she's kind of weird, but it's like you don't really think anything of it, because it's like what they do is they keep trying to play out this scene, trying to see how much they're going to get away with it and how close they can get to you with your guard down, and then that's when they're going to hurt you. So she kept doing like the same, like it seemed like it was like the same kind of playing over and over, and then all of a sudden I started realizing I'm dreaming again. This is a dream, because I swear this already happened in my dream, and it's like a deja vu kind of a thing where you start to become aware. And I've mentioned in other videos, whenever a demon tries to approach you, or they try to, even a ghost, if they're trying to emulate something, if you look at the details, everything's crooked, everything's wrong. But if you just kind of glance, then everything looks fine, everything looks normal. So I started paying attention to the details, and then she went crazy, because then she realized I was aware. When they realize I'm aware, all bets are off. They just start attacking me. And so I ended up killing her as well in my dream. So then again, now I've woken up again. But then this time when I've woken up in my dream again, I'm in this house, and it almost seemed like it was like a trailer park, but it also wasn't. It just looked like a trailer park out in a parking lot, because outside there was like a school bus. And I remember I was in this room and it was dark. It was like I was in a bedroom. So I was like, it's so dark in here. So I open up the door to kind of leave the room, and I go into this living room, and there's this little girl sitting on these two dead bodies. And she's like rocking on the bodies. And she's like looking at me, and then she points her finger at me and she starts yelling really loudly, just super loudly, like, why did you kill my parents? Why did you kill my mom and dad? And she's just screaming. And then I realized that the man and the woman, the body that she was rocking on, they had been the demons I had killed from the previous other dreams. So then I realized I'm dreaming. So I run out of the house. I mean, for some reason, like, children demons scare me so much more than a man or a woman, like an adult. They don't terrify me anywhere near the way a child does. And so I remember I start like freaking out. So like in my dreams, I can't have that freak out moment, because if I do, then I can't focus. And you need to focus to call spirit guides to come and protect you, to come and do your special rituals so that you can protect yourself. I couldn't focus. I started freaking out. So I ran outside, and there's like this school bus. And for some reason, there's all these people running with me. We all start running for the school bus because there's a demon child in the trailer. And then I'm like at the back of the school bus, and I'm staring at the house because I'm like, we need to get this bus moving and out of here before that demon child comes out of the house and starts chasing us, right? So then the bus starts, and then we start moving. And I remember I was like staring at that house as we're pulling away, and I'm like, oh my God, like that is their daughter. Like, this is the demon child. But anyways, my alarm goes off and I wake up. Now I'm awake in real life. And I'm like, man, like, I was so thankful that was a dream. It was super, super terrifying. Now, what ends up happening is after my alarm goes off and I get up, I normally always go and take a shower and everything like that. So I get up, and I remember like when I leave my bedroom, I go into the bathroom, and there's a mirror there. And the mirror, it's actually the sliding ones. And this was before I had remodeled my bathroom. So it was one of the older mirrors where they're a little heavy, you know, they don't just slide easily like that. So I remember, you know, I always look at myself in the mirror. And then, you know, because it's right there when you walk into the bathroom, and then the toilet is next to it. So then I remember I walked in, I saw myself in the mirror, and then I went and I sat down on the toilet. And then, you know, I'm peeing, you know, I'm trying to wake up, I had to shower and everything like that. And then after I get up, I turn to flush, and I look up, and the mirror in the bathroom had opened up partially. Like, there was like a big chunk, not halfway, but there was a big chunk. And I remember I'm like holding the knob to flush my toilet, and I'm like staring at the mirror because I'm like, no, I just looked at my reflection. That mirror wasn't open because I live there with my brother and a dog. The dog's not going to go up there and open that mirror. So I'm like looking at the mirror, and I'm kind of like, you know, who knows? I'm really tired, you know. So I remember specifically, I held the knob, and I'm looking at the mirror still, and then I close it. And, you know, you kind of like rattle it a little bit, and you're like, okay, whatever. So I flush the toilet. I end up going and taking a shower. And then as soon as I open up my curtains, my mirror has now moved halfway open. And my brother is not going to walk into the bathroom. He worked third shift at the time. So I'm like, oh my God. I was like, no, like, it didn't make any noise. You know, like, it doesn't make noise anyway. I mean, like, it's not like a creak, but you know, like it's not like a smooth opening mirror, you know, it's kind of like, you kind of have to like halfway lift it to kind of tug it along. So I'm looking at it like, you know, and I'm trying to keep calm because I'm like, you know, I'm butt naked. I got to get ready. I had to go to work, you know, and so I'm like, it's okay. And at the time I was working on a big project at work too. I had a lot of things I was focusing on. So I start to like hurry up and get ready. And you know, like when you get scared, your senses start to like open up even more, and you start like freaking yourself out. So I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm drying myself off. I'm throwing my clothes on. I don't even blow dry my hair or nothing. I just brush it really quickly, and I'm like running out the door. So then as soon as I get in my car and I drive away, bam, that demon chick was behind me. You guys, literally, I'm driving to work, and there's like this demon girl sitting in my back seat staring at me. And I'm like, just drive, Tassie. And it's broad daylight. Everything happens to me in broad daylight. Like, I shouldn't even be afraid of the dark anymore because I'm like, no, it's going to happen in broad daylight. Like, that day, you guys, she followed me all day, you guys. I remember, like, walking into work. I have this long path. It's like a quarter of a mile to get to the front door from the parking lot. So I remember I was, like, slowly walking, and she was right behind me, following me. And she followed me all day when I was at work. I was going through meetings. I was presenting my new project. I was doing all sorts of stuff. She was there. And all day, I couldn't even smile, you guys. Like, everything just felt like I had chills all along me. I couldn't do anything. For anybody who's wondering, why didn't you do anything? I had to wait until I got home so that I can get into the spirit world and kick her ass. And you guys have, like, no idea. Like, that day at work, with her following me, I felt completely alone. It was in that moment where I was like, oh my God, like, nobody is going to come and save you. Like, nobody is going to do anything to help you. Like, you need to just get through work. You need to just crack a fake smile, and you need to just get out of there, go home, and take care of it yourself. And, you know, it's because I couldn't, like, reach out to anybody for help. It was so horrific, you guys, because I was, like, sitting there, and, you know, like, my colleagues, you know, it doesn't matter. Yeah, like, they were all white, but it doesn't matter even if they weren't white. Like, nobody could have helped me in that situation. You know, having a demon child following you around and staring you down, knowing that you killed her parents in your dream. And because I never confronted her, I never killed her in my dream, she came out when I should have killed her in my dream. And in hindsight now, I think it was, like, a really good lesson never to lose my cool in front of anything, because that could happen. I mean, it was like Freddy Krueger, you know, like, it came out of your dream. But, yeah, she was waiting for me to let my guard down, and then she was going to attack me. And she was waiting. As soon as I entered the spirit world, she was there. She was there, you guys. Ugh. But all day, I just kept thinking of how alone I was. That this is the life I live. That people are crying about, you know, things that didn't even matter. I mean, I know that just because it's not as big in the whole scheme of things, it doesn't mean it's still not an issue to them. But I was like, so your wife forgot to pack you your apple. So you're eating the same sandwich you've been eating for the last 5 years. Like, you don't have a demon following you. And, yeah, I just remember feeling so alone and realizing that everybody else was normal, basically. And nobody could help me. So, yeah, she was there immediately. I took care of it. But it got me really, really scared where I couldn't sleep well for months after that, because I started to fear that it would happen again. So whenever I saw a demon in my dreams, I went hardcore, making sure I took care of everything, because it could happen again. And me no longer being a practicing shaman, right? I still have dreams of demons following and chasing me. And there are moments where I feel them around me when I wake up. Not gonna lie. I can feel them around me. But they don't come back. And in my dream, if I don't kill them, if I just run and escape from them, basically, and I try to hide myself, I can feel their presence around me. And there are times when I can feel it, like, especially like whenever, I'm gonna admit this to y'all, because I live in an apartment. Whenever I leave my front door, you know, just to go into the hallway, you know, as I'm about to leave the actual building, I never look back into my apartment, because that's me when I wake up to go to work. If I had a really bad nightmare and I could feel a demonic presence around me, I can't look back into my apartment because I don't want to see it. So you guys might also think I'm kind of crazy, but I have had a lot of experiences where you look at a house and you see things moving, or you see somebody looking back at you in a window. So in my windows, when I am outside approaching my place, I do not look at the windows. You know how they say ignorance is bliss? I'm living just fine now, you know, like be me by myself, like not actually having to practice. Lord knows what kind of world I'm going to get into when I start practicing again. But there are little things I don't do. Like, it has traumatized me to that level where I don't do certain things. I won't look certain places because I don't want to see it. Even if I can feel it and it's screaming at me that it's in the corner, I won't acknowledge it. I will just keep ignoring it. And I will be fine. In my dreams, though, I do have to do things, but that's right. I mean, can you imagine having to live like that? Yeah, exactly. Now, I do not bother other shamans that I know about, like, my issues, you know, like, because eventually, okay, it's kind of like I'm bipolar. When I am feeling scared, because I've mentioned to you guys so many times, like, even though I witnessed and I've done a lot of these things, it still scares me. But when I am faced right in front of it, I will hold my ground and I will take care of it. But I have this super skittishness about me too, where I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. No, I don't want to deal with it. Like, literally, that is me. I don't want to deal with it. I want to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. Because for me, I realize what helps me a lot when I'm no longer a practicing shaman is if I ignore it. You know, and a lot of times, I'm not going to lie, when you have a lot of ghostly activities, shamans will always tell you to go to church. Okay, like, if a shaman ever says go to church, you should go to church. You should consider going to church. That is a cop out. Okay, like, we'll say that to you because we don't want to deal with it. So what we expect you to do is to go to church and pray. We want you to find God and have God's energy protect you. But if you come back a month or two later and you tell us you went to church, it didn't work, then we'll be obligated that we have to do something. That's a little secret, you guys, in case you didn't know that. But if you ever hear a shaman say you should go to church, it's because we don't want to deal with it. I'm just saying. Go to church, man. Go to church. But it's like, you know, like, I have a lot of shaman friends. Like, when I see them, though, they don't sense anything. They're perfectly fine around me. And it's typically, if it's sometimes it's gonna be like a fledgling shaman. A lot of times when it's a shaman that's not established yet, they don't have all of the superpowers who come and protect them. Where they don't have that, where if somebody is really dirty, basically there's a lot of ghosts or a lot of issues that follow them, it can actually hurt the shaman's body. Like, you'll be in physical pain. But if the shaman is more of an established shaman, it won't bother them. Like, it won't hurt them. But if it's somebody who is just starting their journey, or they're not at their final level yet and they're not as full strength, then having somebody who has like a lot of demons and stuff like that with them, not just really real demons, but it could just be like a lot of issues or ghosts or anything like that, anything dirty, unclean with them, it can make that shaman sick. It'll make them actually feel physical sharp pain. So like I said, your spirit guides will let you know when they don't like something. I'm not drinking alcohol, you guys. This is just sugar. I get high off of sugar. I'm not somebody who eats a lot of sugar. But when I do, I have a huge sugar high and I'm like crazy. But when I crash from my sugar high, it's bad. This is, you'll see it in my mukbang coming out soon. But this is that Christian regale stuff. It's the holidays. Around the holidays, I always like drinking this. It's non-alcoholic. This is the lingonberry with apple. I also have the cranberry with apple. So this next part here is going to be about possessions. A lot of people have questions with me about possessions, demonic possessions. And in another video, you guys, I had mentioned about the time when this ghost tried to possess me. But it's because I do have the ability to be a vessel where ghosts can come through me and talk through me. So the whole point of this, a lot of people won't like it when I say this, but it is possible for you to become possessed if you are weak-minded. And it doesn't mean you're a weak person at all. It's not about strength or anything. Even if you honestly believe, I know who I am, I'm really strong-headed, it's not like that. It's about in your weak moments. If somebody really close to you passes away, you become very fragile. Same thing if you're sick. If something happened to you and you're kind of traumatized by it, it's the same kind of thing. So when you are weak-minded, and this also goes into play with those who are easily scared, and you're constantly scaring yourself. And you're not trying to, but because you're so afraid, you're always scaring yourself. So, you know how I had just mentioned how there are certain habits I have that I do, and it's to make sure I don't become weak-minded. You know, like how, when I leave and it's dark in my apartment and there's no sunlight because it's like winter, I will not look into my apartment as the door's closing. I wait for the door to close. I'll look out the hallway, wait for it to close, and I'll put my key and I lock and I leave. Same thing with if my windows are open or anything like that. I never look up at my windows outside because I don't want to see anything and freak out. I don't want to bring myself back to that moment when that child demon scared me and I just ran for it into the bus. I don't want to bring myself back to that moment because things can happen during that time, and so that's just exactly what I mean, because I know exactly who I am and what I am capable of, especially in the spirit world. But I don't allow myself to have those weak moments because that could be like the tipping moment and a demon happens to walk by and then seriously. So with that being said, what I'm about to talk about, it's really just going to be my own experience, what my spirit guides tell me, and what I may have heard. And this is like third party kind of people I've heard from. I have never actually talked to an individual who was possessed. Let's just let that be clear. So for myself, during the time when the ghost tried to possess me and I couldn't push it out of my body, it's exactly the same thing. If somebody ever becomes possessed, you can push it out. However, you only have a small window. When the entity is awake and taking over, it will fight you constantly and you can't push it out. But when it starts to loosen its grip just a little bit, or it starts to get tired, it starts to lose its energy, it needs to rest, basically. You can come forth and try to push it out. Now, for me, how I was able to push it out, my spirit guides forced it out for me because I allowed my spirit guides to come through and they were able to help me. It works the same thing if you're somebody who goes to church and you become possessed. You have to pray and reach out to God for that moment for it to be pushed out of you. And it may be a long, long struggle because, for people who do go through possessions, or I've heard stories of other people who became possessed, the actual individual is still there. After the incident of it happening, you will remember everything that had happened. You'll remember everything, but you couldn't control yourself. You couldn't stop it. And that's exactly what possession is, because it's another spiritual entity that's most likely not good taking over you. To explain it, if you have been a shaman or you have experienced something like that, because the reason why I say have been a shaman, when we go into our trances, and for Hmong people, for our shaman lineages, we don't use drugs. When we enter it, we have a spiritual connection automatically to our spirit guides who will actually come and just do everything for us. We go into a trance where we allow them to possess us. Now, this possession form, though, of our spirit guides, it is not forceful. We can break it at any point in time. We can stop it. I could literally be in the middle of a ceremony and just whip everything off and I'm perfectly fine. So it's just, but it's kind of like the same linkage where you could be able to stop it. But with the demonic entity, just imagine it not wanting you to stop and it won't let you stop. What happens is you go into like an animal instinct kind of a thing where all you're thinking about is survival. Everybody has it in them, right? Like there is always that one moment, even if you feel like you've completely given up, if it really went down, you will always have that moment where you will fight. And it's just unconscious. You're not even aware of it. You are fighting. It's kind of like when I go under anesthesia. So I've had surgeries before, and it's really horrible. I feel really bad for the doctors who have to serve me. When I go in under anesthesia, when I come out of it, I'm perfectly fine. I see things though, and I talk to it, and I point them out, and I tend to scare the nurses. But whenever I go under anesthesia, I'm perfectly fine. I'm like breathing it all in, like the gas, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And then all of a sudden, like I'm totally normal. And then all of a sudden, natural instinct kicks in. And I start trying to escape. That's the easiest way to explain it. My mind somehow starts to try and escape. It knows that something is wrong, something's about to happen, where I'm about to lose consciousness, so it starts to fight. And I start like trying to claw at people. They're like holding me down. They're forcing the anesthesia into me, and it feels like ice going through your veins, you guys, if you've ever been awake when they do that. It hurts so bad, and it takes a lot to knock me out, you guys. Because I'm like, it's just such a natural instinct to keep fighting and to survive, right? Even though I know exactly why I'm there, I'm having surgery, I need it. It just, it's just an animal instinct. Yeah, so they always have to tie me down. And so, but yeah. Now, I, again, have never known any, well, I actually knew one guy. It was something that ran in their family, kind of like what I do. Not that I do it. I don't have that as an open service where I tell people, hey, if you want, you can talk to your deceased loved ones through my body. I don't do that, you guys. It's not a service I offer, ever. It happened accidentally, and I didn't realize it. Now, this person that I know, though, their family, it runs in their lineage. Like, it's a gift that they have. But what happened was they had the ghost in the man's body, and he's like writing stuff, and he's just like writing and writing and writing. And then when it was time for the ghost to leave, it wouldn't leave, because it's like, no, I'm here, I'm finally communicating, you guys can finally hear me, like I'm not leaving. And so it was a huge issue when it happened. I was younger when I actually found out and heard about it all, but everybody was terrified. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew how to get this ghost out of the person's body. The person's body had completely clamped up. He was like bawling because he couldn't get this thing out of him. It was, I remember talking to him, and he said that he couldn't do anything about it. And he just prayed and prayed and prayed. He just kept praying until finally the entity lost its energy and it finally left him. So, yeah, it's kind of creepy, man. But, you know, I don't mess around with that kind of stuff. And I always have to mentally check myself and protect myself, because it could happen. Even to establish shamans, it can happen. Like when we go into the spirit world and we fight these demons, the reason why it's so serious and we have to take it so seriously and we have to always be on guard and we always have to know what to do, it's because possessions can happen, especially to shamans, because we are openly putting ourselves out there. And the reason why we have our spirit guides and have all of our tools and have all these rituals, it is to protect us, because we are open and susceptible to so many horrific things. It's same thing with if I decide to go into the spirit world day and I meet a demon and I decide I'm going to fight this sucker. You know, I think I can win. If I lose, you know, like he could possess me. That is the deal. Like he could if he wanted to. I would never. Yeah, I have. Okay. I was going to say I would never possess a demon. I have before. That's a different subject though, you guys. The trick to fighting a demon. The only way you can defeat a demon is that you have to be more evil than the demon. You have to. It sounds really, really weird, but that is how you defeat a demon. If the demon is more evil than you don't stand a chance. So I learned that the hard way. But I think because I had Michael with me for so long too. I've mentioned it before where I feel like Michael did imprint on me, where a lot of demons they don't approach me. They just watch me, but they don't move, and they try to hide themselves. But it's like an elephant trying to hide behind a giraffe, you know. So it's kind of like, why are you wasting your energy? But I swear, like, something happened with me and Michael that because he was with me for so long and he was a demon and he was very, very, very strong. When I became a shaman and I went into the spirit world and I did all of my stuff, I discovered that that's how you actually defeat a demon. That you have a lot of spells, a lot of rituals, a lot of steps to doing it properly, but that's why a lot of shamans, they will just hide themselves or hide the demon or try to entrap it, because it will cost you so much energy to actually defeat it. And bringing yourself spiritually to that level, to, instead of, I don't really believe in hiding it, because I'm like, he's gonna come back. Like, so it is, for me, my mentality, it's better to just strike it down and get rid of it. But a lot of other shamans, it's a lot easier for them to just go around the issue, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, kind of like that big spider, I tried ignoring him, pretending he wasn't there. Because I get lazy, you guys. I don't want to have to do it. Like, you don't know how exhausting it is. All right, you guys. That's it for this episode. I get a lot of emails typically after my episodes, so I can always answer you guys individually. I swear, you guys, I've not been drinking. This is just juice. Thanks for watching, you guys.